All right, we are on day 3 of the challenge, and we've already covered mindset, we've covered pricing, and now we're going to be diving into leads to call, or actually leads to text. I'll give you some different options. There is an ideal, I would say, and there's a couple of reasons for that. So, of course, we're going to dive to the mind map, and let's start at the top, which is why people get stuck here. All right. So in the first training, I talked about imposter syndrome. I talked about fear. The reason why a lot of people get stuck at this process of marketing themselves is because they struggle to put themselves out there. Suddenly people are going to see what I'm doing. And I get it. I understand it. And we also have to understand that once we start to break through it, we go into courage, a lot of things can change. And so I'm going to give you the steps to take. I'm also not going to give you too many options here, okay? There are a lot of different ways to get clients. There are a lot of different avenues to get clients. However, if you actually follow these, I think it's going to be the fastest route for you. And maybe, hopefully, you're going to get some big aha moments during this training. So a lot of people get stuck because of that fear. So you've got to address that. You've got to be aware of it. As I'm sharing things during this part of the training in particular, yes, definitely sales, but this one, notice the fear that comes up as I suggest some of these things. Remember, it's new. You've not done it before. There was a time, my first time on camera, and of course, over time, when I look back at the videos and the things that I've done, you only go into mastery. You only go into actually producing things that are more kind of dialed in once you have experience, right? Some people do it better than others, and certainly a way to develop it is to do it and do it again and do it again, okay? But one thing that we need to get over, I'll be honest with you, is worrying what other people think. Because oftentimes that is a judgment that we fear from people when actually we are the one. And someone said this to me once, which was just a big eye-opener, which is when we fear people judging us, we are judging them. And we forget how, yes, there's a lot of things on social which we don't like, but especially in the pickleball community, people are excitable, people are fun, people are welcoming to us. And also it's about the intention that we bring and the energy that we bring into something. All right. So this training is also called Leads to Call. And so I have found in my experience, and also just when I coach my clients, that the best way to get someone going, again, instead of putting something on a website, is for you to have conversations. And ideally, that conversation is going to be on a phone call with you. It's going to be on a FaceTime with you. It's going to be on a Zoom call with you. But if you are dead against that, yes, you can do it in a message form. But I would highly recommend that you have a phone call, and here's why. When you have a phone call and you talk to someone and you ask them the right questions, of which I will go more into this tomorrow in day 4 around sales, which is you will get to understand the needs of the person having the conversation with you. And your best copywriting for your business, the best advertising that you will put up, the best videos that you will produce is always going to come from the conversations that you have. Many of my podcasts are from conversations as I take my clients through their process, as they are overcoming hurdles, as they're sending me texts saying, hey, I've got this challenge. Boom, there's another conversation there. It helps me write better copy. It helps me come up with topics, and it's going to help you too with the marketing piece, which inevitably is an area that you're going to have to develop if you're building your own business and you're not going to be part of a location that already has the lead flow there, which of course you may want to do, but most likely if you're watching this, you're not there. So one of the key ways that we are going to use to develop this system is going to be Facebook. So there are a couple of platforms that I think are good for getting new clients. And I say with Facebook is probably going to be one of the better ones just because of how the groups are structured. But what people really struggle with is knowing how to do it. And also, how do I do it without being salesy? How do I do it without being kicked out? And I'll share those secrets with you. So let's talk about how not to get banned from a group. So there's two groups, okay, that you are going to get clients from. They're going to be local community groups. Actually, there could be three, actually. And we can add another one here, okay? There's going to be community groups. For example, I'm in Coronado, San Diego. Coronado local group. There's probably 2 or 3 of them. Then you've got the bigger San Diego area, of which there's got to be many more, right? So you've got local groups. They've got nothing to do with pickleball, but they are, local residents, talking about local topics. And if someone happens to post like, hey, where's the best place to get a massage? That's the place that you're going to go. Where's the best place to eat breakfast? That's where you're going to go and find out the information, okay? So there's a strategy for that type of group, and then there's also a strategy for pickleball local groups. So, for example, if there's not one in my area, and this is why I'm going to add 3, you can be the person to create that. Because if you don't create it, it's already there. So that's the thing that you want to decide. Is there already a local pickleball group? If there's not, I am going to be the one to innovate that because I have control, which is actually going to be a perfect scenario for you. And if you are not, then what you want to do is you want to build up authority in the other pickleball local group. Does that make sense? Now, hopefully, even at this point, you're going, oh, okay, this is starting to make sense for me. Hopefully that's happening. So the way to not get banned. Now, this does not apply to your own group because you're not going to get banned from your own group, right? There's a whole different process to like how to structure a group and do that if it's your own. But let's just say a community group. How are you going to get banned? You're going to get banned if I go into a community group. Now, you might get let off the first time, right? You might get a message or a warning. But the way you're going to do that is if you go and post, most likely, a flyer that says, selling my stuff, and you're just spamming, okay? So the mindset switch that has to happen here is instead of from promoting your stuff to get a client, the way that you're going to do it is by adding value, right? So the question then becomes, how do I do that, right? So I'll start with a first post into a community group. Now, this isn't necessarily under the label of adding value. It's more of an introduction of which you add value later on after this post. So let's just say that I move to Coronado. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a picture of me, right? Probably wearing some sports gear, not like overly promotional with like a pickleball paddle going like this, but I might be holding a paddle, but I might be on a court, but I'm not overly, it's sporty. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a post which is saying, hey, I'm new to this group. This is where I'm from originally. This is what I'm into. I've also got a dog. Here's who I'm looking to connect with. And what I'm going to do within that post is I'm going to seed into that I am also a pickleball coach. Because what I'm doing is I'm not going and being direct, but I'm actually going in and I'm letting people be aware of Simon. Now, what this takes is for you to think about what you want to say. Now, you can also do this on video. It could be, so I would recommend a picture and a post or a video of you introducing yourself. And here's why, because not a lot of people do video. And I'll talk about a video strategy a little bit later on for different socials, which one of my clients did on Instagram. So now what I did in a local group when I wasn't playing pickleball, but when I moved to Coronado, was I did a post saying I'm new to the area. I've I've had this illness, which I did. And then I said that I wanted to do coffee dates to meet people. And people started to meet up with me and have coffee. I want to get to know people from the area. Because if you share who you are, if you share what you're about, what your values are, then what you're going to attract is other people, like getting fit, for example, right? What you're going to attract is other people who want to make friends with you and they want to connect with you. And then you sit down and then you let things happen organically. I have signed up clients, not even using that strategy, by just having coffee. And it was not expected. I sat down, I had a coffee, someone came along, they said, is anyone sat here? And I said no. And then we just got chatting. Turns out she had an issue going on. I happened to be a coach. I started to coach her through it. I gave her an accountability challenge. She went away. She did it. Ended up signing up to one of my other programs outside of this. It was a sizable investment, right? So I want you to just understand this, which, I've built my companies because I add value to others and people want to work with me. And so when you add value to others versus this very kind of like trained, kind of old school marketing technique of like a poster or posting a picture of your business card, like you will see that in Facebook groups where it's dead, right? You'll just see pages of them. People posting their stuff and there's no engagement, there's no interaction, there's no community. Because posting in an actual community means you being part of the community. And that's the shift. So then when people are posting in there, then you can start interacting. Now this is about non-pickleball topics. You are getting to be known as a person. But the key is that when they go to your profile, and I'll come on to this later, they see what you do because in your profile, you have a picture of you with a pickleball paddle. So essentially your Facebook becomes your funnel. People become aware of what you do by what you are seen as on social. And then when it comes to posts, for example, you can ask, for example, in a local group, what does everyone do to get fit? Right, is a question, a specific question that's going to elicit people responding, right? And then you can enter into the conversation and then you can take that conversation into a phone call, right? Now, when it comes to pickleball groups, it's a little bit more direct because people know what that group's about. So if you're going into a group that already exists locally, then what you're going to want to do is start to post pictures in there of you playing pickleball and you coaching pickleball with your friends and stuff like that, right? And then you can be writing stuff and it's not going to get banned because it's part of the community. And what you want to do in that community is go through and see what gets engagement, see what gets likes, see what people are responding to. And then you can start to think, how can I tailor something to the group so I'm not manipulating it, it fits in with it, but it's also making people aware of me. Now you can post reels in there. You can post content of you doing a number of different things. And especially when you are at the free stage, it is definitely a place where you can get some initial free sessions going, of which then you can upsell those free sessions into your first paid session. So earlier we talked about paid and free, but actually there's a hybrid. And that hybrid is posting into those groups looking, hey, I'm just looking to, I got, part of my cert is working with 4 people. As an example, I'm looking for 4 people to coach. You coach those 4 people. And then at the end, then you can move them into their first paid session. So that's going to be your essentially marketing funnel, right? Now, if you're going straight to paid and you're not doing free, then what you need to do, what my client has done, has get to be known within that community by, again, answering questions, adding value. Then what people are going to do is add you. And here's a little ninja secret. When you do a post in a Facebook group, let's just say you do a post asking, as I mentioned earlier, who here has played pickleball before? ? Let's just say 10 people like that post, not comment. Actually, I think you can do it with comment too, but let's just use the example of like. If they like that post, when you hit on the names of the people, you can invite them. And if you have a creator page set up on your Facebook profile, they're going to go and follow you. And also they can just add you as a friend. But what you want to do is notice that when you're posting things and people are liking it, there's that little button that you can click that will allow you to invite people into your world and get more followers. All right? Very, very key. So these are the main strategies, right? Community groups, going in and posting there, introducing yourself, adding value, asking questions that lead to conversations that are strategic, right? To get you leads. And then also pickleball groups. Very, very important that also you stay consistent with this. It's not necessarily going to happen your day one post. But what my clients do is they build up their authority within those communities, and then you become the go-to. And if you're more frequent than other people are doing it, it's going to make sense that you are going to get to be the known person. I'll give you another example of a post, which is your top 3 tips for beginners playing pickleball. That could be go in the local pickleball group, or it could go in a community group. So 5 tips for this, or 3 secrets, or one big thing I learned as a pickleball coach. It's something that people can apply that doesn't cost anything, but positions you as the authority. So when you have something valuable that happens to you, put it out there. Stories are very important, right? I'll tell you, when I write for entrepreneur.com, the actual articles that get me clients are the ones where I'm just adding value. I'm teaching my process. I'm teaching what works. I'm teaching my best stuff, right? I'm just sharing here's how you can improve. Like when things work for me, I share them. And then people get value, but then they're like, oh, I'm interested in working with that person, right? So again, it takes a mindset shift, because there's going to be a majority of people that take that and they go and apply it. And then there's also going to be people that are like, oh my God, I need a pickleball coach. Like what you're sharing with me makes sense. It makes sense. And like, you've added so much value to me that I want to give that back to you. Like, how can I work with you? Right? And not a lot of people do this actually, because it takes a little bit of extra effort. Okay. So I gave one of my clients a challenge that really helped her, okay, within the community. And I call it the Surge Challenge. It's like a mini 5-day challenge within this challenge. And what you're going to do is you're going to post on social. This for her was Instagram. And she posted every single day for 5 days. And the first day, it's a pickleball story, like why I got into pickleball, and it's on video. Okay, my advice is that you do it with a different setting behind, right? A different scene behind you. So the first day, it's like why I got into pickleball. And why do you do that is because it shows your passion. It's also potentially the first video that you've done that makes people aware of what you do. And they get your energy. Now, you may be saying, Simon, I struggle to be on camera. Again, it's the first thing that we have to get over when we do multiple videos is doing our first video. So you don't have to do it live. You can take it on your phone and you're just going to talk about why you got into pickleball, your journey, how it started, why you love it, and why you think other people should do it too. The second video, why you decided to be a coach. This is probably going to be one of the first videos that people, I spelled coach wrong there. I have to change it. Otherwise, I'm going to be really annoyed. Hang on. All right. This might be for you one of the first videos that people are aware that you're a coach. So actually think about what was the turning point for you to be a pickleball player and then be a coach. Something erupted in you, a spark. That's what I want to hear about. I want to hear the why. And there's a great video by Simon Sinek, which is people don't want to know what you do. They want to know why you do it. Right? And so many of you have already learned through the media and the reason why I have such a passion for helping pickleball business owners, because pickleball changed my life. I had this medical condition. I was unable to walk. It got me fit again. It changed my mental state. It got me feeling confident again. It got me wanting to do business again. And now, like many people, I'm telling everyone about it. And I have a lot of skills in business that I want to impart to help other people spread the love of pickleball. There's a reason also why you have it that's deeper than just playing pickleball. You've actually got to go inside, I think. I would do this with personal trainers. I'd be like, why are you a personal trainer? And they're like, well, I just want to get fit. And it's much deeper for a lot of people than they think. For many personal trainers, it's because they were bullied, right? That's why I became a personal trainer. I was bullied when I was a kid. And then personal training built my confidence. I started to get a great body. I started to build my confidence. But the root was the bullying for me, right? So it runs deep. So I'd encourage you to think about what runs deep with me with pickleball that's deeper than the surface of it's a great sport, fastest growing sport in America. We all are going to say that, right? The next video can be, and this is a good one to do if you're teaching beginners, which is the things that can help them to move along, that is the resistance point between playing and having a coach, which might be for someone their first paddle. If you're talking about a first paddle, it's going to be for a specific audience versus, say, maybe your second and third paddle. My first paddle was a head paddle. My second paddle was a Ben Johns paddle. My third paddle was a Selkirk paddle. We all have a paddle journey. And so you could do a video on your paddle journey and where you started and why you started there and why it might be a great decision for maybe someone to skip that step. I don't know. Whatever you feel about that, or maybe you don't feel that way. But great videos are built on emotion, right? Something that fires you up, something that excites you, something that makes you happy, something that makes you sad, right? So, but bear in mind your audience, because yes, you may be at a certain level, but you've got to think about your coaching level when you're doing your content. So if you're doing something super technical, you may be not necessarily pushing that audience away, but it's not going to resonate. You have to go back to when you were at the stage of where your customer is going to be, that is going to be your first client. Where is their head at? And that takes a bit of thinking, right? Like, where was my head at before? So for me, I was meditating outside of a Marriott hotel, and I heard pickleballs, and I was interested in pickleball, but I wasn't aware of open play. And I didn't know that doing open play, I could go along and meet people and just take my paddle and start playing. So we got to think about the mind of where the person is before they've had their first lesson. Is this person that's not played before and they're curious? Or they've played, but now they want a coach to get them to a certain level. So write down 10 different topics of things that you know and have that be one of your videos. Then you can do relationships. So I put this because one of my clients, she has a boyfriend and they got into a relationship through pickleball. So that's a great video to do, because what it does is it lets people know that, especially if you're single, that pickleball can be an avenue to potentially date and meet somebody that you care about. So that's a great video to do around something emotional that's happened. So relationships are emotional. So that's good to do. I don't know, but maybe you take your dog along to pickleball. I don't know. I don't. Makes me think that I should sometimes, but I don't. But maybe you do. I see dogs sometimes by the courts, right? So maybe you do that. That's a great video to do. It's emotional. Dogs are loved by humans, right? So you could be like, why I take my dog to pickleball as an example. This is probably not the topic, but write a list down of emotional based topics and do a video every single day. Post it on your Instagram, post it on your Facebook, post it everywhere, and get people responding. Because what's going to happen is that then people will start messaging and they'll say, oh my God, I need a pickleball coach. And then what we need to do is take that interaction to a phone call. This training is called lead to call. And so what you have to start to get and understand is there's interaction with you, and it's your job to actually pull that person out and get them into a conversation versus you thinking that everyone that's going to hire you is going to come from people directly messaging you going, oh my God, I need a session tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. Yes, you are going to get a number of people that do that, but most people have this resistance to messaging people. You've got to be one to start a conversation in the, with somebody, first of all, maybe in a group, and then be like, hey, jump into their DMs, have a conversation, and then you can take it to a call. All right. And I'll give you a question that's going to help you further down the training, which will help you make a lot of money. It's the one question that really does help. And then the other video I mentioned here, which is a beginner session breakdown. Now that's great to do on the court, because what it does is it basically future paces someone to what it's going to be like when they work with you. So on the court, you can start talking about, hey, during a beginner lesson, this is what we cover, X, Y, Z, and by the outcome, how you're going to feel when you leave the court, and what you're going to know is X, Y, Z, and then that is a great mental trigger for people to want to reach out or engage with you, so you reach out to them. All right, let's move on. So one important strategy, so you've got open play, but you've also got open play organized by you for lead generation. So we've covered Facebook groups, and then we've got other methods. So for example, I go to open play, and then I can spark up conversations with people and have coffee dates. All I have to do is say, hey, like, you seem like a really cool person. Do you want to go for coffee? Those can turn into conversations. Then you find out what that person does, what you do, and then they know that you're a coach. And then there's often you gain the reaction from them of like, oh, that, I probably need a coaching session. And then you can move that into your first session, your first paid session. So you've got open play, which also is important for you if you're coaching next to the court, strategically timing, right? If you're playing or teaching a friend, for example, or coaching, you want to time it next to open play so that people can see that you're a coach, right? But you've also got open play organized by you, which is you booking a court and organizing people to come so that then you're positioned as the coach. Now you can use things like Playtime Scheduler for this. You can also use the groups. I'm organizing an open play. Who wants to come? It's a themed one. I spoke to someone, said it's going to be, he does one with wigs, which I thought was a unique idea, right? So if people are already doing open play, think about a themed open play. Maybe you're an entrepreneur, right? And you're going to do a business themed one. Maybe you're, it's for mums, right? Think about you as a person. Think about a micro niche, which is like 2 levels deep. And then think about, I'm going to do a specific open play, post it on Playtime Scheduler, and then you can start to generate leads and business from your open plays, okay? So we talked about coffee meetups, general open play. Then what one of my clients does is she has a coaching cert. You can get a t-shirt made with Pickleball Coach on the back. But she has a Pickleball PCI shirt on, which positioned her, and then people are curious about her. Adding value, right? So I'm a firm believer that we shouldn't be giving unsolicited advice, but if people are curious and you start to give tips, it's up to you to let them know. Would you, for example, you give some coaching tips to somebody. Oh my God, this was really useful. Would you like me to talk to you about a pickleball lesson? I think that you would do really well and actually, do XYZ based upon what you see with them. Oh yeah. Again, you can't expect people. Sales is not about you waiting for someone to jump into your DMs or say like, oh my God, I want to hire you. You have to be the leader in that. Okay. I'll cover more about this in the sales too. So I know for some of you, why I've done this is some of you don't want to use the social stuff. Some of you like to use the in-person stuff. Some of you are more natural in person. And some of you basically want to develop those skills. What I would say is if you want to go play at the top level, so to speak, if you want to be pro within this 5-day challenge, I would be doing both. Because the more that you do, you're going to test different things. The more things you test, you're going to find out what works, and then what works, you want to use the 80-20 principle and focus most of your attention on that. As soon as you get a win, for example, you start to get some engagement, you start to get people into a DM conversation or on the phone, then you want to start to put more energy into that's already working and multiply your efforts. And then also I've just got here posting on socials, right? So posting your stories every day. Try and think about a story, even if you think it's semi-irrelevant, right? Something that you learned, oh my God, I just met this such a cool guy when I was coaching. I'm talking about free coaching because you're not paid yet, right? So let's just say you're coaching a friend. Let's just say you were coaching a friend and you met this really cool guy who came along. Oh my God, I just met this amazing guy that came along. So every event that happens that emotionally shifts you or is interesting, you can turn it into a story, right? And you can actually turn random stories into pickleball, right? Things that happen with your dog, birthdays, just lots of different ways. You just need to spin it in the right way. So think about the things that shift you and start sharing more about yourself. Yes, you may have to overcome some fear when it comes to that, but trust me, people love it when they say smiling pictures. They love it when you write stories. Quirky things that happen, silly things that happen are all important. All right, this one's important too. Changing socials. So one of the things that my client did not have was her Instagram and Facebook was not switched over to show that she was a coach. So we changed the picture on her profile, and some people even have pickleballs. You don't want that. You want a picture of you, right? A picture of you with a paddle. Let people know just by the visual that you are in pickleball. People know from this headband, right? Just in the space. They know from my headband, right? But also you want to put into your Instagram profile where you are, right? If you're in a local area and someone goes to your Instagram, you don't want them to wonder where you are. So put a little pin marker and put, for me, it'll be Coronado, San Diego, right? Pickleball coach, if that's what you want to call yourself, right? Pickleball coach. So the basic in your Facebook little description, also your job title. You want to make sure that your socials, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, if you're on LinkedIn, your Instagram especially, pickleball coach, your area. All right? That's the main thing that you're going to need. Make sure you get those changed over today. Do not worry about perfect pictures or getting a photo shoot. Take one, get it up, have that as an action step. Okay. So, importance of a phone call. I mentioned this a little bit briefly earlier. Okay. The importance of the phone call is so that we have conversations with people. It's much easier to sell something and take a payment when we've had a conversation. Why? Because there's a change in emotion. You can understand, oh my God, that sounds exciting. You find out what someone's needs are, and then there's a transition, and it just is easier because there's resonance, there's trust that's built. I would say that if you've developed that, then feel free to move into message. If there's more demand, if you've got a lot of things to deal with and you've already started to make some sales, great, move it into just having messages with people, ask some questions. But in my opinion, you've got to get good at asking questions in a conversation to know the questions that you're going to ask in a DM message. So yes, by all means, just do it in Messenger, but you've got to be able to have an engaging conversation, right? And the challenge also here's the other challenge with doing it via Messenger, which is, have you ever been in a conversation with someone and then they just go? And it's like, no, we were in a conversation. And that's the danger, which is sometimes it'll start and then it will stop and then it's gone. When you're in a phone conversation, almost you're kind of controlling the flow because you're on a FaceTime, when you're on a call, someone's just not going to hang up on you. So I would always say for your first sales, have conversations, then move to messages. As you then build up demand, then you can just move to messages, and especially if you're, at work, it's different. I would definitely say the time to have conversations also is when people are able to be present. Okay, earlier I said the one big question. So we need to get somebody from social into a phone conversation. So this is the social strategy, and that power question, which will make you a lot of money over the years, I will tell you now, is, are you free now? So if there's a message going back, and for example, someone's messaged me on social, and then we're having a conversation about something, and we've had a few messages back, and it kind of makes sense that, hey, we're just chatting here. Are you free? Like, can we just talk? That's the time to say, are you free now? And then if someone says no, then you can say, hey, when are you free? Now you can use a calendar. You can use something like Calendly to get people booked on if you are super busy. But honestly, what my client has done is just hopped on the call with people, and that's been super easy. But that one question, especially when you're in anything that is, if you're writing for like 30 seconds or a minute, pull in that question of, are you free now? Oh my God, yeah, I'm free. What's your number? Or give whatever, their number, your number, jump on a call, and then you're into a conversation. Your goal during this challenge is to get into as many phone calls as you can. And then, as I mentioned, you can use Calendly if you want to book people on your calendar. All right. We have covered a lot in this training. What do I want you to do as action steps? I want you to create a post, write your first post, or create your first video for a community group, your first post for a local pickleball group. Start your own local pickleball group in your area if there isn't already one. That's going to be a great strategy for you. And start to get some engagement going, right? Start to, build up that frequency. Start to add value to people. Is it going to take some time? Yes. But you've got to have some goals per day. Set yourself some goals per day on how many posts, how many interactions, how many conversations you're going to have. I can guarantee you, if you start having some conversations now when you move into the next training, it's going to be very, very soon that you get a sale. And yes, I would love it for many of you watching to get your first sale in the 5-day period. It may come during that period. It may come a little bit afterwards. But trust me, if you go and just follow the steps I'm teaching you here, it's going to be rapid. You've just, got to stick to it. So in the next training, we are going to be covering sales. So we've spoken about mindset. We've spoken about pricing. We've covered the lead generation part on and off the court. And now obviously we need to talk about what happens if you're in person with somebody, or if you are in a phone conversation with someone. Also, something I want to just add here as I've thought about it, which is, let's just say you've met someone in person at Open Play. You want to try and get to that coffee date as quickly as possible. So that could be the same day or potentially the following day. The more that something gets pushed out, the more chance it has of getting cancelled. So if you're free that day, do it. If you're free the next day, do it. But gain interest, ask people if they're interested in learning more or having a coffee date, and then book the conversation for you to discuss that. And your goal for this training is to have and get as many conversations going over the next 7 days. All right, I will see you for the next training, where we're going to talk about sales and enrollment, conscious enrollment. I will see you then. Take care.